welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the very best of Netflix's Scott Pilgrim anime. Number 10, Ramona vs Roxy. With Scott missing, it's up to Ramona to take the role as lead character and figure out the mystery. Her search leads her to one of her evil exes, Roxy, and the two inevitably battle it out because there's still a lot of bad blood between them. In a fight that's wild from start to finish, with the two leaping between movie scene after movie scene. While the original battle between Roxy and Scott ended up with her getting punched in the boob, this one has a more sentimental bow wrapped around it. Ramona actually apologizes for the way she treated Roxy, and the two reconcile.
We were pretty immature, weren't we?
Number 9, The Funeral.
Hey, you're the girl that got Scott killed, right?
Scott's sudden death in episode 1 certainly raised a lot of eyebrows, and while many of us were wondering what on earth just happened, the show threw this ludicrous scene our way.
What are you doing here? You killed Scott Pilgrim!
All the main faces turn up here, but it's about as somber as you'd expect from this wacky adaptation. What little sentiment there is was thrown out the window when Scott's ex, Envy Adams, shows up in big fashion. Then, the singing starts.
I'm so tired, but I can't sleep.
It's not long before everyone forgets Scott's even gone. Everyone except Ramona, of course. Number 8, Lucas Lee vs Paparazzi.
Lucas!
It's gotta be said, the fight choreography in this show is insane. We only wish there was more of it. One of the standouts is when Lucas Lee turns his fists against the pesky ninja photographers that are plaguing the set of the Scott Pilgrim movie. Lee's skateboard skills are on full display as he drops paparazzi after paparazzi until pretty soon the set is flooded with coins. How this guy's movie career is suffering, we'll never know because we couldn't take our eyes off this scene. Number 7, Scott Pilgrim, the musical.
Scott Pilgrim's precious little musical.
The bizarre subplot of Scott's life in the original timeline being adapted into a performance all culminates into this finale, which sees all the leads turn up for the show. It's Matthew Patel's turn to take on the mantle of Scott, and what little we see of this stage play had us begging for more.
I had that dream again.
I didn't care the first time you told me. I care even less now.
The girl with rollerblades and rainbow hair.
As it was originally pitched by the new sex bomb formation of Steven Stills and Knives Chow, it includes a few off-camera melodies depicting some of the events of the original series.
Skater, actor, vegan, rock star, mogul, titan, evil,
Lover.
excellent.
Best of all being the musical edition of Scott Pilgrim's most iconic quote, "Bread makes you fat."
Bread ain't all that. Bread makes you fat.
What's wrong with that?
Number 6, Wallace steals the show.
I bet you're wondering why I never came home last night.
I did wonder how I got so lucky.
If there's one thing we wanted and the show delivered on, it was Wallace Wells being Wallace Wells. As he did in the comic book, he essentially serves as an agent of chaos, stirring rumors and throwing hilarious insults.
Have you acted before?
I considered it, but I was worried I'd be too good at it.
His snark even earns the affections of Todd Ingram after he ends up starring as himself in the Scott Pilgrim movie.
Envy! I can't be with you anymore! I'm in love with Wallace Wells!
But over everything, Wallace once again proves himself to be an unconventional but great friend to Scott, even letting him live with him in the future.
You boys want some iced tea?
Kieran Culkin absolutely steals the show throughout. Number 5. The Epilog. With the relationship ending threat out the way, it's up to our characters to convene their normal lives, albeit with a few changes.
See? We don't suck.
Not since Knives joined the band.
Sex Bomb is back together as a 4-member band. Wallace has found his new partner while traveling overseas. The evil exes are picking their lives back up again, including Lucas Lee, who actually took Julie's advice and started working at Second Cup. And was that a potential Kim Pines infatuation we picked up from him at the end of the scene? But honestly, it's those closing moments that got us. Can you really call yourself a fan if you didn't choke up the second you heard the first chords of Plumtree's Scott Pilgrim? We're still mad it got cut off abruptly. Number 4, Scott meets Scott.
And you're...
Scott Pilgrim.
After a long absence from the show, we finally discovered the real reason why Scott disappeared. He was actually kidnapped by himself. After the events of the original Scott Pilgrim timeline, Scott and Ramona got married but eventually fell out.
Evil exes. Whatever happened with that?
Well, let me break it down for you. Fighting those exes was the biggest mistake of our entire life.
This heartbreak leads to old Scott, now voiced by Will Forte, to concoct a plan so that he and Ramona never got together in the first place, kidnapping Scott so that he never fights the evil exes. It's hard to believe Scott could ever sink this low, and even harder to think that Ramona and Scott didn't work out the way they should have.
Well, I'm a good husband. I do the dishes, I walk the cats, I make the spaghettis. And I won't take you back to the past until I know for a fact that you won't date Ramona Flowers.
Number 3. Gideon Vs Matthew.
Gideon Vs Matthew Patel.
One of the show's highlights actually comes really early on in its run. When Matthew Patel's ego gets out of control after taking down Scott Pilgrim, he sets his sights on the throne of leader of the evil exes. What follows is possibly the most exciting battle in the show, as we genuinely don't know who's going to win as they tussle around G-Man headquarters. Patel makes full use of his mystical powers, while Gideon powers through with whatever he can get his hands on.
Surprise attack!
Shockingly though, it's not the head honcho who walks out on top, it's Patel.
You're mine.
Thus begins the spiral of Gordon Goose. Number 2, Episode 1.
Time to wake up, dude.
I had a dream about that girl again.
When going into the show blind, you're treated to a near-flawless adaptation of the first book. Not to sound ungrateful, but if this was what the show could have been, then we'd have been overjoyed. Scott and Ramona's first meeting, their first date together at Hillcrest Park.
I should have checked the weather. Guess you need that parka now.
The showdown with Matthew Patel. Right up until that sudden twist, it was pitch perfect. We'd be lying if we said it didn't bring a tear to our eyes to see this comic book cultural touchstone finally come to life in animated form. Hey, it was nice while it lasted. Maybe someday we'll get that 1-1 adaptation we crave.
Cool.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The World vs. Scott Pilgrim.
Even older Scott Pilgrim versus everyone.
They were saving the best for last, that's for sure. When his plan to split his younger self away from Ramona falls apart, future Scott comes back, and this time he's absolutely jacked, angry, and ready to throw down. It's awesome to see the heroes teaming up with the League of Exes to try and stop him. Alas, it's useless, and so Ramona and Scott are left to face him on their own. Their desperate struggle to protect their love for one another is everything we love about the two come to life in the form of a beatdown. Ultimately, it's up to Ramona to put a stop to the madness, and she does so in pretty dramatic fashion.
Wait,
Do you think there could be a Scott Pilgrim sequel? Let us know what you think it would be about in those comments below. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.